Hello, I am Taylor and I edit all of the episodes for Surviving Maine. And I wanted to do something a little different this year. I wanted to have a behind the scenes podcast where you can get to know what was going on, what was cut from the episodes that was maybe a little interesting but didn't make the cut. Uh, and what was going on the ground out there in Maine for the first two seasons that you can find on YouTube, the 2019 season and season three. I was out there on cameras, I was there for everything. And this time for season four, I wasn't there. I got all the footage later and made the episodes without knowing, without being on the ground with everyone and suffering along with the rest of the crew. So every week after the episode, at any time between 8 p.m. Tuesday and midnight the next Sunday, I'm going to drop a podcast, a behind the scenes podcast. It's going to be me and George Nicolaitis, who produces Survivor Brooklyn South, and he was there as the Taylor of season four, making sure everything was happening out there for season four of Surviving Maine. So me and George, and each week a different special guest are going to talk about what was going on behind the scenes, what didn't make the episode that we want to talk about, and maybe a little bit of a recap. And I hope you all enjoy it. Here is episode 1. Well, hello there. I am Taylor, and you are listening to the Surviving Maine Behind the Scenes podcast. I am here with our co-host, George. He is the producer of Survivor Brooklyn South and fearless producer, co-producer of Surviving Maine Season 4. We also have with us international woman of mystery and camera person for Surviving Maine Seasons 3 and 4, Addison. How are you guys doing?
Wonderful.
Yay. Are you guys ready to talk about episode 1?
Yes.
Absolutely. Let's hit the ground running.
It's exciting for the episodes to be out now because it filmed so long ago that it feels so fresh too.
Over a year ago. But I'm glad now that it's happening, I'm glad that I had to wait so long to finish editing because there's no season 5 coming out anytime soon, because our fearless leader Liza is having some health issues, and so there's no season this year. Maybe hopefully next year or the year after that. I think it'll be back. I hope so.
We love Liza.
Yes. Okay, so George, you have a lot of notes on this episode. Do you want to take us through your points?
So my favorite part of the day of opening this experience was checking them in. And as they were showing up and lining up, and I was just saying to myself, oh my God, look at these people. They were perfect. They were all excited. They were all, some of them had no idea what to expect. And just checking them in and feeling, absorbing their energy and before we were ready I was like, okay, let's go. Let's hit the ground running. But yeah, that was my first impression, was just we have a great cast. We have a very funny, eclectic cast. Several locals, several people that were like, yeah, I'll try this. So I'm around. I'll do the survival thing, and then this game is like happening around them, and it's like, oh my goodness, just so much fun to be a fly on the wall, a tick on the knee of some of these people.
Addison, were you part of that too?
Yes, so I wasn't checking people in, but once they got checked in and they had to go sit in the field and wait for us to start and just like not be able to talk to each other, but watching them like trying looking over and seeing like, okay, who's here, like sizing each other up but not wanting to get yelled at for like turning around staring. It was so fun to watch everybody like try and get the feel for each other just sitting in a field to see like, okay, how much can I get away with of like looking around, like can I give somebody a look or something. So I loved that part of watching them try and like get in that little bit of pregame of like, okay, who do I like the look of, who do I not like the look of.
This doesn't make the episode, but any episodes, I don't think. But did you want to talk about the way TJ was smiling at everyone?
Yes, TJ was overly excited about playing the game and was making eye contact with people with this Norman Bates smile on his face.
Don't
That
say
is that bad? I
I
love
mean,
TJ.
it's when
No, he was.
TJ
It was
knows
with
that Dee Dee
such
called him
love.
that. TJ knows Dee Dee called him that, and I left it out of the
Did she? I
episode.
missed that. I thought I was being original and funny.
No, Dee
Did she
Dee,
call it?
Dee Dee full on.
I was there. I was holding the camera. It took everything in me not to start shaking and laughing in it because I was like, "That we can't use the footage."
Oh no! He just had this maniacal grin on his face, and it was all it really was palpable joy.
Yes.
And some of the people misread that as, "Who is this guy glaring at me and smiling creepily?"
Very
Uh,
possibly my favorite part of day one was the Green Tribe talking about TJ.
and the thing is, you get to know TJ, and he's like the coolest, nicest guy in the world. But
Yes.
in that moment, while he's getting ready to take on this adventure, his joy was probably three or four notches further than some of the other people there. So I think that's what they were reading. It's like, why is he smiling at me?
I should say, because I forgot to say at the beginning of the show, that I was not there for the making of season 4. Very sad. I had quite enough of the outdoors just being there for season 3. So I stayed home. But my role is that I edit all of the episodes. Addison and George were out there the whole time in the thick of it, dealing with the heat and the exhaustion and the boredom. I bet you guys weren't bored at all. Maybe, well, I bet you weren't. I don't think I was ever bored for season 2 or 3, but
There
so
was
that,
no
No.
time for boredom. There was
yeah.
no time for boredom. The only person that I think was could have been bored was Matt. Matt had the time of his life. He was on holiday,
Matt's
enjoying
another
the
camera
outdoors.
person who was on season 3, and he will be joining us for episode 3 of this behind the scenes podcast to talk about his experience behind the camera and
Right
whatever
here.
else he was doing. They were doing, yeah.
Where did you sleep, Addison? Did you have a tent in that little tent
So
playground?
no. So season 3 I did a tent and actually forgot to bring any blankets, so the first night just slept under his sweatshirt.
Oof.
No.
That was like it was raining that night and I had a worse night than the castaways did. So for season 4 I was not trying to do that, so I followed in the Taylor and Becky mold and I got a hotel room with Brandon and Jess.
Oh,
That's the only way to do it.
if I didn't spend $300 on a tent, I would have probably done the same thing.
Oh,
But
And
I was not ready.
in many ways was worse because then in the morning you had to get up out of an actual bed and go
yes.
when you'd just gone to sleep a few hours earlier. Whereas in the tent, you were like, okay, whatever, it doesn't make any difference. But convincing yourself to get actually out of bed was horrible.
And then to make that half-hour drive because it's like the middle of freaking nowhere, Maine.
Was there anyone that you saw, Addison, that when they pulled up, you considered them a winner pick?
Well, in part, I definitely thought Amelia had a good shot, but that's because I knew Amelia coming
Oh,
in. Through knowing Will, I had met Amelia before, so I knew her. I actually got yelled at by both of them because they were checking in when I got there and was walking by or was up at the table. And I went, "Oh, Amelia, I didn't know you were playing this year." And they were both like, "Shut up." Because they didn't want other people to know that she was someone who knew people because she
Mhm,
wasn't super actively volunteering that information
mhm.
unless people asked. So they were both like, "Can you be quiet for a second?"
I Amelia was my winner pick because I interviewed everyone right before the game started, and I was like, this girl can win with the strategy she's coming in with. So that was my winner pick. What about you, George?
Yeah, Amelia was not on my radar at all when they showed
Yeah.
up. She was not. Who was on my radar? I would say I was excited about uh, Adam's game. Uh, he seemed to have a good grasp on the game and talking to him. Um, and who else I really I enjoyed talking to Callie. I thought I assessed immediately that Callie was very smart,
Mm.
and also very nice. So she was somebody that was on my radar. But other than that, I let everybody sort of reveal themselves through as the time passed. And yeah, they delivered. It, it's it's tough because you have people that are gamers and people who are there for the experience. And I feel like that's sort of the theme of this season is
Yeah.
it could be wrong, I don't know, but I think that, just watching the gamers game and the outdoors people, attempt to assimilate is sort of, what is interesting about watching this season unfold, in my
And there's
opinion.
such interesting moments during it of seeing people who that's not seeing the outdoorsy people who aren't some of the gaming people really come alive and pull off stuff that you would expect from very seasoned gamers. And to see them do that makes it almost even better than if just a seasoned gamer had done it because they also it causes people to have their guards down. They feel like, well, this person, doesn't know the show, doesn't know what they're doing. So then when they do pull off a move, it's that next level of being so impressed with them of like, I never even knew they had that in them.
I do want to mention how incredible those opening credits are and how well you captured that. I love watching those opening credits. It's just the original music. It has its own theme. It has its own feel. It has its own mood. I love, love, love what you do with the music and how you
Thanks, George.
underscore everything.
Thank you. I'm proud of that theme song.
I'm, I'm just trying to get you as the editor of my game in case you haven't picked up on it.
You
I'm just buttering you up.
want your own theme
Um,
song too?
The real question is when's the Surviving Maine wand off coming?
Yes, yes.
um, let's talk about some of the players, some more of the players. Let's talk about Sandra. I love Sandra. I wrote Sandra. I didn't know Sandra played. I didn't know
Ah.
her reputation. I knew nothing. I just heard this really thick Boston accent, and someone who she conveyed, I just want to have life experiences. But watching these episodes, the first episode, you know that she is a gamer. You know that
Yeah.
she is there to play.
And this was only her
So
second LRG. There's two LRGs out there on YouTubeville that she plays in, Outlast and Angelica. I
yeah,
won't spoil anything, but she does pretty well.
he does pretty well. I don't know about the first one, but I do know about the outcome of Angelica.
Mhm.
That aired, right?
It did. Yeah. So
Are we just
not,
being nice, not
we're just
giving
being polite. If
spoilers?
you would like Sandra, who had the title for this episode, what is it? Some people like Botox. I like LRGs. Title of episode 1. Thank you,
What a
Sandra.
character.
But if you want more Sandra after Surviving Maine season 4 ends, Angelica's out there. You can binge it. It's great. I haven't seen
It
it yet,
really is. It's
but I plan on watching it.
I watched Angelica. I had a couple of friends on there. They definitely deliver a great product for sure. They've been around forever.
Nice.
Um, who else do we got? We got Mary. I
Ah,
mean,
I want to be Mary's
instantly,
friend. That would be
I
my
want
I
to.
friend.
I love Mary so much. Mary and
Yes.
I got to develop just like a very special bond out there, and it she was is just like an amazing person. Like if you I don't know in what context someone listening would ever get the chance to just sit and have a conversation with her. I think there's something so real and genuine about her that you don't see in just about anyone, that just makes her such an interesting person to have a conversation with, because she is so unapologetically herself,
Yeah.
but she's also such a fun person in that way too, that she's just an amazing person to just like sit and vibe with.
I want to be Mary when I grow up. You all want to be friends with her. I just want to. I want to be Mary. I think that's my goal is to get to that point of nirvana.
Yes.
Yeah. I almost spoiled something, so I'm catching myself.
No, it's episode one.
Ah! So we got Dave Holdsworth. Like, I love watching Dave play any LRG because his palpable joy is unparalleled. I He is living his best life when he plays these. Dave is a family man. He's a great dad. His wife is incredible. A really good guy. And when he gets the chance to play these games, he transforms into like LRG gold in my humble opinion. I love Dave.
Dave's good.
Um, we got my favorite quote besides the title of the episode, which is fantastic, was from Nick, who said when he was talking about Aaron, and he said that Aaron is this season's Gene guy. Or Gene guy or
Je-
Jeans guy. I don't know.
Jeans guy. Jeans
Uh,
guy.
Jeans guy.
Shout out to
Hilarious.
Dan.
The legend of Dan lives on.
I
That's
just
right.
can't wait for Ghost Island when Dan's jeans come back as an
I
idol.
know. They're expensive jeans. I don't know if he would let us have them.
So let's talk about the idol in the field.
Yes, let's talk about that because
Yeah.
it was my assumption when making this episode that that was Liza's wacky idea, but I heard I may have been wrong about that. What do you think, George?
Well, uh, I proposed it and it was emphatically approved. And in my mind, because I assessed the difference in there were players, there were gamers, and there were people that were there for the experience and weren't fully versed in Survivor,
Mm-hmm.
I felt like doing something like this was going to separate the people that knew what they were doing from the people that didn't know what they were doing.
Yeah.
Uh, and it was going to be revealing. I kind of was hoping that no one was going to move off the
I
map.
thought for a second Noah was going to, because filming, it felt like it took them so off guard that it felt like, I'm sure it's actually was actually like maybe a second, but it felt like 5 seconds of everyone just being like, wait, what? And then finally processing like, oh, I gotta go get that, and then running.
It was pretty fast. Like the wheels turned fast for them. Like Dee Dee took off. She was gone before Liza finished talking, I think.
And that's the way to do it. If someone says, "Hey, look, there's, you can hide an idol, and you could, there are a million different people that can find it. But if you just say to them, oh, by the way, there's something that could save you in this game from the first vote is out there." I think that thought process on everybody's face is pretty fascinating because everybody considered it, but
I,
only a few people took the bait.
well,
It was
I like your theory here about people who are less familiar with Survivor being the ones to take off and do it, because that was mostly the case. But
yeah.
Allison went, and Allison's a big gamer, and then you see Sandra start to run, kind of notice no one else on her tribe is going,
Yes.
and she stops.
It
And then you have
was
people like Seth and Aaron who you would think like they don't know much about Survivor, but they stayed put. Maybe they thought they couldn't run fast enough. I don't know.
It was interesting watching the reactions of the people who stayed back, of all looking at each other like, well, we didn't go. And I know I've heard from Addison after, I don't remember if it comes up in the game or everything, that she thought that running out there, I don't know how much she wanted the idol, but she thought, well, the people who run out here, like, we're going to have a chance. We're going to like talk things over. It'll be a good way to make like inter-tribe bonds.
And that's
so
what she tried to do. Yeah.
Yeah, she expressed later like a surprise that it was just grabbed immediately and then that's it, and there wasn't really any conversation, because I think that was her hope, is that she was going to be able to, okay, this will give me, in this brief moment, a little bit of, bonding between people, and then that did not really happen.
I think she realized it was a mistake just as she was approaching the podium.
That's
She
how
was
I
just
felt.
like,
Yeah.
Because
yeah,
she said she slowed down at the podium to
Right.
talk, and then it was gone, and yeah.
It's like she knew it would be smarter if she did not get it, so she wanted to cut a deal at the same time.
Yeah.
It
it's
worked
almost
out.
like the first couple of episodes. Well, we're talking about it's just a very Benny Hill. There's a Benny Hill quality to the gameplay. Um, and I hear, while your underscore is brilliant, every once in a while I hear the. I'm aging myself now.
You
Sorry
really
for the
are,
young
George. You
people.
really are. I bet Addison has no fucking
Normal
Yes,
clue.
I
Benny
do.
Hill, damn
Oh,
it.
everybody knows
Okay,
that.
okay. Listen,
Google it.
when I was 2, it was my favorite thing. Apparently, I went 2 or 3. My favorite thing in the world was watching Benny Hill with my grandpa, and we would sit and eat avocados on saltine crackers and watch Benny Hill.
They had TVs back then.
Fuck you.
Well, if you want like an updated version, just watch the first 2 episodes of Surviving Maine. It
Okay.
gets it gets the strategy gets more intense as we go along, but a lot of people are just sort of feeling their way through.
Yeah, that's true. Oh,
That's
what
what
else
I
you
like.
got in your notes there, George?
Let's see. Um, Sandra reminds me of Lois from Family Guy.
Do it again. Do the impression.
Ada. Uh, in the best possible way. I love Sandra's thick accent as a Brooklynite who fights tooth and nail to curb my Brooklyn accent, especially in a professional environment. Um, the other thing I wanted to bring up was the journey.
Yes.
That fire puzzle is like a $2 whore. That thing has been,
Been in every LRG.
it has been, I commissioned this Amish guy to make
Wait,
two of those.
seriously?
Yes,
No way.
for like no money because they were selling it on the site and they were like this big. And I said, "Can you make these enormous?" And he went back and he measured his, he used whatever his, so he's like, well, he was upset because he was like, oh, I don't think I can make them as big as, but I think, and I was like, 2 of them. I think he charged me $100 per puzzle, which
Wow.
is a good deal. They're very good
It
quality,
is.
but it's the bane of so many LRG players' existence
It's a
because
rough
it is
puzzle.
a bitch of a puzzle.
You know what? We talked about no one having time to be bored. If I had to pick one, sitting with them while that journey was playing out felt like it
Oh,
lasted about 5 years.
I know it was rough.
I
It
know I
was
had Addison
rough.
texting me that day. I was like sitting here lounging in Long Beach, and Addison's like, they're doing this journey thing. It's taking 3 hours now.
Because at a certain point, it was when they were in all the pairs of two, like just sitting waiting, they stopped talking to each other. So I was just sort of sitting like, all right. And it's like I've deleted every app off my phone for storage and stuff. So I'm like, I
Right.
have nothing to do.
Right.
So
Wait,
yeah,
the journey is the only time that we get to see beautiful George on camera.
and I was so wrapped up in what was going on that I didn't take 2 seconds to look in the mirror. I honestly, that orange Michael Myers shirt with those long tube socks pulled up to my knees because of the kicks. And I, watching it back, I just fell out when I saw what I looked like. I was like, did nobody pull me aside and say, reconsider the socks?
Nothing was
No
more
one.
horrifying for me watching season 3 than seeing myself in the background and being like, that's the outfit I chose. That's
You
what I
know,
was wearing.
you can't stop. You guys are such gay men. No, there are ticks out there. As the lesbian of this podcast, there are ticks out there. You need to dress practically. I had stupid high socks on as well. You can't let those ticks get you, man. The socks are necessary.
There's one thing I offer words of encouragement to Aaron, and it seems unsolicited when I say something along the lines of, uh, I think I said to him, don't underestimate yourself or something
Yes.
like that, because he was like really hard on himself during that challenge. I don't know if you saw in the raw footage, but
Yeah.
he was really doubting himself and like talking himself down. So I wanted to say that because my unsolicited advice, I feel, came across as a little condescending. Like,
No.
who the fuck is this guy who's telling me not to believe in myself? I just met you 6 minutes ago. That's that. It was he was doubting himself, and it was a really tough puzzle.
Mhm.
But I just wanted to have him continue to believe that he was capable and keep his confidence high.
It was hard even once he came down from that as a camera person. Like, I'm not up there, I'm not seeing what's happening. I didn't even know what puzzle or anything they were doing. It was a pretty immediate, like, okay, I don't think he's going to win whatever this thing was, or he is going to win the entire season because he's the best actor I've ever seen. It's like, it's one of these two things. I don't know which. I have a suspicion it's the former, but I will be very impressed if it's the latter.
The real deal. Aaron's a decent human being, good guy with a big heart.
Something that for me was very entertaining on the journey was when they were all talking before, and just watching Lauren's reactions to what was being said was maybe the most entertaining part of any of it for me, because she was just like, what is happening right now?
Well, Addison, tell us more about that because this was footage that I did not have.
Yes, there was some technical. Oh, okay.
There were some
Yes,
technical difficulties. We
I
won't
think I
blame
knew
Addison.
back in the depths of my brain. I think I knew that one. There was some issues with like the storing and stuff, and so not everything made it over. But so it's Aaron and Mary have that very similar like outdoorsiness, and so they very quickly got on to talking about that and just going into like what they do. And love Lauren, but that's not her at all. So she was just, her and I were having a very similar reaction to everything they were saying, because that's not me at all either. So they're going all off on like all their like outdoorsy and hunting and farming, but all of this. And Lauren is just like, oh my God. And I'm just standing there like, oh my God. And so it was so entertaining. Just watch her, like, because she's an experienced person in these games. She knows, like, get in, make those relationships. But watching her have to try and do that with people that I don't think she has encountered many people of that sort of ilk before was just so endlessly entertaining with me. I think if my camera footage of that existed, I think probably 75% of it is Lauren's reactions to what is happening in the conversation before the journey.
Oh man. I wish we had that because Aaron and Mary really seem to bond, and
Yes.
there's no existing footage that I had to like explain why are they so wanting to work with each other across tribal lines, but they really bonded about being from Maine, what being outdoorsy people. He's a game, what's it called when you cut up animals when they've been murdered. I'm
What's that?
vegetarian.
murderer.
Yeah, he's a killer.
He's like, he's a hunter, and that's fine.
Yeah.
I have
And
I have
that's
respect for when you eat your own meat that you kill. That's
yeah,
cool.
absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what they were like going over, and he was talking about like butchering the animals he hunts and stuff with Mary. And yeah, that was Lauren was like wide-eyed, like, oh my God, who are these people?
Hard
Lauren
to bond with
understands the assignment. Lauren understands the
Yes.
assignment and definitely strives to make good TV,
Yes.
and effortlessly as well.
Yeah, I don't think there's any effort in.
And she's
Yeah,
just
she's
being
great.
herself. I really liked the way that Amelia handled Dee Dee. She was very kind. She was
Yes.
very uh, it, motherly, even towards Dee Dee in a sense.
Yeah.
Like very understanding. Uh, when Dee Dee was saying, "Look, I'm done. I'm out." Um, and we all respected Dee Dee. We all, I had a long conversation with her before when she had made up her mind to try to change her mind. But she was done, and we respected her for
Yeah.
that. And the game moved on. But it was we all felt the loss
Hmm.
because
Yeah.
she was such a character and she
Yes.
was so outspoken and she was so liked by everybody that it was a loss. We felt that loss because we wanted to see how that story was going to end because she came out of the gates guns blazing
Yeah.
and everybody was like, what is this?
Absolutely.
And in the best possible way. And it's a shame that we didn't get to see her story play out beyond that because I had a feeling it would have, you know, what if she would have really caught on to how to play the game. You can't play the shoulda, woulda, couldas or anything. She made her decision and she was comfortable with it. She got a lot out of the experience, and it's from her own words, and she was very proud of herself. So I think that she made the right call, and she made the right call to leave the game when
Yeah.
she did.
And for camp stuff, that first day, I filmed the Green Tribe quite a lot. So I got to see a lot of Dee Dee's time in the game. I spent much of it with her. So even just through that, like developing that bond with her, and she is in the same way of Mary, just like I absolutely someone who is 100% themselves. And that just brings in this magnetism to her of watching the Green Tribe interact with Dee Dee in the beginning was just so fun
It
because
really was.
just everything she said, you were like I wanted to put the camera down and just sit there and be like, go on, like I just want to hear everything you have to say. Like I would have to remember, like, okay, I need to actually film this because I want this content in the episode. Like I need this to be in it. But it was also magnetic. And when it came over the radio and it got announced that like Dee Dee's gonna be leaving, I was like, that makes a lot of sense for her. But I got to talk with her a little bit like before she was going, just because having been the camera person during that, like we developed a little bit of rapport and everything. So I was one of the people who went over towards the end of her decision just to talk with her a bit. And I knew immediately that like she seemed so resolute in that decision, and I'm someone who does that too. When I've made a decision, like, and I've emotionally decided on that, like that's it, it's done. And you could tell, but like George said, she was so proud of herself for even having done it, and that made me so happy. And I thought, like, okay, well, this isn't the end that maybe we all would have liked to see. Like I would have loved to see Dee Dee continue on the interactions, everything she would have done. It was so immediately clear that it was absolutely the correct decision for her, and that she had gotten everything out of being in the season that she was going to get and that she needed to get, that made it okay. And I was so happy for her that she got to have that. And then she was just such an entertaining person. And so you wouldn't want her to be in at her own detriment if it was going to take away from the Dee Dee that we'd gotten to experience up until then, and who Dee Dee really was.
She came back after the game, right? Did she
She,
come back to party with us a little
she
bit?
so
Really?
yes, so she came back not even after the game. She came back probably around the time of the final four into the final three with three giant bottles of champagne. One of the ones is the one that the finalists have at their final meal. But there were two other giant bottles of champagne. She had two other people with her that I to this moment don't know who they were. And they were like, "Can we go see the camps and stuff? Like, I want to show them around." And at that point, they weren't going to be going back. So, like, yep. And that was the last anyone saw of her.
Oh,
At some point, we went, I think Dee Dee and those people with her left because
what the
we
fuck?
haven't seen her in like an hour.
Oh my God.
She's still out there. She's
She's waiting
she's
for
still
season
camping.
5.
Mhm.
I
But
will
that was
say, yeah, go ahead. Go ahead, George.
I was just gonna say we all wound up, at one point being like, let's call Dee Dee back. Let's get Dee Dee back here. And everybody was on board. And I think it was Liza that wound up calling her. And I think she was very happy that we did. I think it
Aw,
made her very happy.
Yeah.
What were you gonna say? I'm so
that's so
sorry I cut you off.
nice. No, I think I cut you off. I do that. I was gonna say I was gonna say that I interviewed everyone in the cast right before the game started, and her interview was just my absolute favorite. Addison's cracking up right now because she talked about like how she wanted to bring a bathrobe as her jacket. I was like, please, for the love of God, bring your bathrobe. She
Didn't
didn't.
she do her interview in the bathrobe?
I think so.
That was the one you sent that to me and said, there is one person I need you to look out for. It is Dee
Yes.
Dee. Text me updates.
And you did, and you told when you texted me that she was quitting, I was devastated.
I think I was like,
I
I
was
have
too.
terrible news, but
Yeah.
I was like, Dee Dee's quitting, but it is going to be such a good first episode in
Yes.
the storyline of Dee Dee.
Yes. And I want to thank you, Addison, for getting all of that camp life stuff because I really feel like I got to know her so well.
Yeah.
And I have like a full 45 minutes that I'm gonna throw together as like Dee Dee uncut. And I'll put that out. Now that I'm saying it on this podcast, now I have to
Now
do
you
it.
have to, yeah.
I have to finish it and put it out sometime in the next week. Just Dee Dee talking because she's
And
just so
then
great. She like
okay.
compares everyone on her tribe to the cast of Summer House, which is some reality show, some disgusting reality show, probably on
Love Summer
Bravo,
House. It is on Bravo, actually.
I don't even know it.
right?
I'm that old.
I'm
I
Team
only know it because
Carl.
a guy from Summer House was on The Traitors season
And a
one.
girl from Summer House is on Traders 3.
I know, I just saw that. uh okay, so Dee Dee, we love her. My
But no,
favorite. She stays in the conversation too throughout several episodes. People keep talking about her. I do a flashback because it's important for the storyline. And on her Chiron, I put Taylor's favorite player just because I just why not? It's true.
and of course, when, people from that starting tribe end up in whatever way interacting with people from other tribes,
Mhm.
first question out of everyone else's mouths is, so Dee Dee,
Yes.
please tell me the story.
Yes.
Everybody in the game wanted to know, like, so Dee Dee, question mark.
Yeah, like that's it. That's all you need to ask.
So we had a good first episode.
Yeah.
Um, Very good first episode. It only gets crazy. It gets crazy.
I mean,
Uh,
yeah, episode 2 is one of my favorites. You wait for it.
Yeah.
It's a bit wild. It's very entertaining. But Becky, my wife who played season 2 of Surviving Maine, the Fallen Angel, if I say so myself, she said that episode 1 of this season is the best episode of Surviving Maine I've ever made, and I felt
oh,
so proud of
nice.
that. It's a good. I hope everyone enjoys episode 1.
Well, I don't think there's anyone that you didn't touch on. I don't think there's anyone that you didn't like kind of
Yeah.
allow us to absorb their energy.
I
So I
you know
think yeah,
it's for them. Like doing these episodes is for the cast, and
Yeah.
so I want everyone to feel like they can see themselves. Everyone gets a confessional. Like when they're available. There is some episodes where some people go the whole episode without one just because there wasn't one filmed. That's the only reason, right? Like
Yeah.
this is for them to watch and be like, I did that, like there I
Yeah.
am.
And it stinks when there's stuff like that, but there's also, the time crunch of it's one weekend, we've got how many people, 18 people we have to get through, and there's just stuff of there's a limited crew, and so, you have to make the cuts where you can, and it stinks, but it's like that stuff happens, and it you could sometimes tell like, okay, this isn't going to be important, stuff like that, but it's so good that you do really get such a full view of everybody because it's really their experience. At the end of the day, it's not that serious. So it's not like we're watching a television show for advertisers for $1 million.
Right.
It's a bunch of people sleeping in the woods over Memorial Day weekend.
Yes.
Great experience. Such a good experience.
Any other thoughts on behind the scenes of day one? Oh, so many challenges were cut. I'll just say that. Like so many challenges. I was like, I'm not even gonna look at this footage.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I was playing after season 3 where there were 2 challenges in the middle. One was cut just into like a camp life thing, and one was completely cut because it didn't ultimately affect the results. It was so fun with the people who had either been on season 3 or on production, playing like, so which challenges do you think are gonna make it and which do you think are not?
I will say this, that perch where we did the votes, that like, what do they call that in hunting?
Oh yeah, the blind, hunting blind. Yeah.
The hunting, that was absolutely terrifying for me because it seemed, and I don't want to disrespect anybody who made that, but if I sneezed too hard, I felt like that was my life. My life was done.
Going up and down the stairs was horrible to that.
And like I would go carefully as if all 250 pounds of me wasn't like pressing down on those stairs. It was terrifying. And then to find out that that's basically where I lived for 3 days.
Yeah.
As the person filming the votes. But yeah, that was but what a great location for a Survivor game. What like just the only thing missing was like a main house where I could like, sleep.
Yeah.
Like,
Season 2 we had that, but that was Liza's mom's house, and they sold that house, so yeah.
You should have just asked Kaya to stay there.
Yeah.
That's who we should ask on these things. I missed that time.
Kaya will have some very, very fun behind the scenes stories about the season, specifically about Mary.
Who has Kaya's number?
Oh my God, I'll text her right now.
Oh my God, please, please.
I will absolutely get in contact with Kaya.
We'll have Kaya on some episode of this podcast at some point this season.
It'd be great. I'd love to see Kaya again.
Me too.
I love her. And that was so nice too about doing it again this year. So many people came back from season 3 that it was like, okay, we actually have a job to do, but it was also kind of like family reunion.
The pictures were so cute.
Addison, you didn't know me from anything going into that experience.
I knew of Survivor Brooklyn South.
But you didn't know me.
No.
And like I sort of started like calling shots. I'm curious.
Addison has thoughts on this.
What are your thoughts of this guy from Brooklyn who you didn't know coming in and bossing everybody around?
I was like, who is this person running this season like it is the military? When I think back, it won't be in this episode, but it'd be in the next. Is when it was the nighttime of night 1, and we were filming confessionals, and I was shivering because I was so cold, and the amount of like stopping everybody to make them rephrase everything as I'm just like sitting here holding a camera shaking. And I was like, can we be done with confessionals? Please, can we do them in the morning?
Thank you, George.
Freeze, bitch.
I was so cold, and I didn't have like gloves on or anything, and I'm just sitting there like filming the confessionals. Like, please just let the
So let's
next
go
person
back
come.
to military. Was it harsh military or was it ordered military?
I was very ordered military of like, and
Um,
again, it doesn't come up in this, but the you up in the little booth shouting down questions at tribal council, like making people rephrase things there. I was like, oh my God. And
Yeah,
I understood. I'm like, it's all gonna lead to a better product. But in the moment, I was like, I am so done. I'm tired. I want to go to bed. I'm cold.
I thought I
Addison's
was
arms
bad.
were
George,
up like
George is the
this
worst.
for the whole time. What'd you say?
I thought I was bad. You're the worst, George.
No,
Thank
I'm
God for you.
militant.
Yeah.
I have blinders on when I'm when
And you
I'm
were
when I'm
very,
producing the game.
very involved, which again is a great thing. But in the moment, I maybe
But in the
wouldn't have echoed
moment,
that. The text that went to Taylor maybe did not read the same thing.
I don't remember what you said about George.
I was,
oh no.
no, nothing like super, but I think it was
No.
more like I'm cold, I'm tired.
Yeah.
George is making it take longer.
You did great though. You were really like an MVP out there. You were in it from beginning to end. You never stopped doing this the whole time. Like you killed it.
It's the
And
only
Addison,
upper arm exercise I get all year
you're
is just doing this for one weekend.
you deserve more thanks, Addison. You really like you were there for season 3 and 4 the whole
Yeah.
time from nowhere because you like commented on a fucking Twitter tweet that I made, and I was like, "Oh, this guy, I'll get him to come out to Maine."
Do you remember the specific context in which I messaged you? Because I don't know that everybody knows this story.
You were drunk.
I was drunk. I was out at the club in Boston checking my phone. I opened Twitter. I saw your tweet saying like we need people to come help do Surviving Maine, like be production for it. And I was like, well, I live nearby. I love Survivor. TV production's what I want to do. So I was like, that fits. So I messaged you and was like, I absolutely will do this. I absolutely will not remember I told you I will do this. Message me in like 3 days.
Yes, yes, yes.
And then everybody on season 3 was like, where did like people were at they're like, where did
Yeah.
you come from? Because
Yeah.
I've never been involved in LAG stuff before. So and season 3 was so heavy with it, like, who are you? Where did you come from?
Just an angel from heaven.
but I was never not nice to you though.
No.
I never treated you like I was never an asshole.
No, it was always to get the best product.
Mm-hmm. And that's all I care about. So
Thank you,
I
Addison.
love George.
Well, this was wonderful. We have so much more to cover in subsequent episodes.
Yay.
Yeah,
Yay.
it's really the season 3 people who couldn't make it were all asking us like, what's the season like? And I told them I was like, love season 3, but there were some episodes where like just results wise and everything were kind of sort of a slow march towards an inevitable conclusion for some of them,
Mm-hmm.
just because of like that's what it like what ended up happening was always what it was going to be with a lot of them. In this one, I said I don't think there's gonna be like an episode that's not to say that any of the episodes were dull, but to say like I don't think there's going to be a dull result in any of the episodes because every tribal council there were some that like I wasn't like up there for I was like running to the store getting something and I came back and heard the result and I was like how,
Yeah.
how from everything I knew was that the result that we ended up at it. I really genuinely don't think there's a not interesting vote off that isn't going to have when the credits start rolling you be like, oh my God, like I cannot believe that's what ended up happening.
Yeah. There's a lot. Yeah, you're right about that. For this season, there are a lot. Like, I think people will be confused at the end of every episode. Like, oh, that's what. Okay.
There's a lot of zigs right at the last second. Be like, oh, all right, that's where we ended up.
So we still haven't seen anybody get voted out. We have
Right.
one episode down, someone left, and now we move on to episode 2.
Next Tuesday, tune
Next
in to YouTube,
Tuesday.
7 p.m. Eastern. Yay. Thanks, Addison, for joining us.
Of course. Do I get to say I look forward to being back later in the season?
Absolutely. We
Okay, I didn't know if
definitely
that
are
was
going to have you at least 2 more, if not more. Every episode we will have a special guest. Addison will be special guest a few more times.
Yes. Got some behind the scenes information I can't wait to spill.
Yes. Yes.
Be well, Addison.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.
Next time.